it's being reported that they have gone to some bigger name talents and asked them to take up to a 50% pay cut. And over the week, we got a rumor going around that Roman Reigns was removed from all of the June Raws. And for that that reasoning was because of TKO asking him to take a pay cut. That was later debunked later that day, saying no, it was an accident. He was advertised. It was an accident. He wasn't supposed to be advertised for those Raws, but we will never know. But it's still being reported that they are asking higher up talent to take up to a 50% pay cut. And when it comes to that, that has pretty much been confirmed by Jonathan Coachman, who is still getting information from people inside WWE. And let's hear what Coach had to say, because this was actually very interesting. When I was doing my research for the show about this, I came across this clip and I thought it was very interesting. So let's listen to Coach talk about WWE asking talent for pay cut and the releases.
Of the day, because I told you I made a call today. I have two very good connections, and I got confirmed that these cuts and these renegotiations, Vince, is an absolute gigantic power struggle backstage between Triple H, Nick Khan, and TKO. Remember we talked about the last couple of weeks who wasn't together during WrestleMania doing interviews, doing media. Remember I talked about that? Triple H and Nick Khan a year ago, they were lockstep. They were like, he's the best. He's the best. He's the best. He's the best. This year, there's none of that. And I got to confirm today that Nick Khan and TKO, because last week, Zelina Vega, she said, I got a call from TKO, not Triple H. That's a big deal that fans need to understand. TKO has no clue who Zelina Vega is. She's a name on a piece of paper with a number next to her name. And Aleister Black is her husband. And Aleister Black is also been cut in the last week, Vince. And if TKO is calling these talents instead of Triple H, that's an even worse look to me. I just think they operate poorly when it comes to a wrestling company.
Yeah, but man, Coach, everything you're describing, it just sounds like there is a chess game going on. I mean, come on. And who seems like they're playing both sides against the middle right now? It looks like Nick Khan.
Sure
That's
does.
what it looks like right now. And it's funny, when you go back to Zelina Vega, I think Zelina Vega would have said Nick Khan called. I think she would have said Nick Khan.
Yes.
She said TKO. So I'm like, who's calling from TKO? Like, who is that person making those calls?
It's funny you mentioned that. Remember on the last show we had, and we said back in the day it was talent relations calling. And I said, Vince, I don't even know who the hell's in talent relations these days.
Right.
Did you see what happened?
What happened?
They put out a video introducing three members of
I did see that. Yeah, I did. Yeah.
How do you tell us you're listening without telling us you're listening?
Yeah.
Like three members of talent relations did a video introducing themselves on social media.
All right. So that was the Coach and my favorite locale, Vince Russo. So back to TKO asking wrestlers to take pay cuts. Of course, TKO is a business. They run WWE. It's essentially, at this point, we should just be calling every event TKO WrestleMania, TKO Backlash at this point, because they're a business and it's about money. And I honestly don't think these higher-ups even know who some of these people are, as Coach stated. Coach just said that they see a name and a number. It's essentially like at anybody's job in a performance review, your boss knows you, but the higher ups don't know who you are. All they see is what you did wrong, essentially. So that's how TKO views a lot of these people. Now, a lot of the cuts that we had over the past week, there were guys that I pretty much weren't shocked about. But at this point, when you hear about asking people to take pay cuts, it's kind of like, really? Like, what are y'all trying to do? And I believe I saw a report that their justification for it was there are lesser events now. You're not working as much, so it's essentially cut. Since your work's cutting back, your pay should cut back as well. Now, if they want to justify that, I don't know any numbers to anything like that. Makes sense, but asking these guys to take these wild pay cuts like this is the NFL is crazy. As an Eagles fan, Howie Roseman, he is the king of general managers, especially finessing the system as far as signing bonuses, working the salary cap. But this is wrestling; there's no salary cap. Of course, you're trying to generate more revenue as possible, but there's no salary cap. You don't have to technically worry about cap casualties, things like that, or dead cap numbers or anything like that. You don't. If you release somebody, you give them the 90 day, you give them 9 days pay or whatever the amount is, and they keep it pushing and they move on to the next thing. But this is strange to see because you don't hear about this in wrestling anymore. Like the biggest story that we had about this was when Vince asked Bret Hart to take a pay cut because he just couldn't afford to pay him. But this is something that we technically don't really hear about in wrestling at all. Asking your wrestlers to take pay cuts, and it's interesting. And you could say TKO is like trying to they're kind of killing the business or whatever. But like as I always say, I don't see it that way because as I always say, you cannot keep everybody. WWE was doing these cuts post WrestleMania every year, regardless, even before TKO. But it was also interesting to hear that when Coach did say, and Zelina said on her phone call, usually Triple H or whoever we're called, but this time it was TKO. So TKO was looking at the books and they're saying like, okay, well, we're getting rid of so-and-so. It was first, and Zelina Vega has been released before, and she knows from experience and from hearing from her friends and coworkers' experiences that it's never usually that way, not from TKO. So we'll have to actually see what happens with this, but this is something that's very interesting, and hopefully there's not a lot more releases, and I hope nobody's really taking a 50% pay cut. Because look, I'm telling you right now. Look, you tell me to sit there and take a 50% pay cut. This is all you're gonna get from me.
What?
That's all you're gonna get from me, and then you're gonna get this.
Shut up, bitch.
Thank you. Ain't nobody taking a 50% pay cut. I'm not. That's crazy to me. That really is. It is completely ridiculous to me. So we'll have to actually see what happens when it comes to that, because that is completely ridiculous. Now,